Welcome back, Focus Learners. Okay, are you ready to transform what is arguably one of the most intimidating features of Microsoft Excel into your own personal time-saving magic wand? In today's explainer, we're diving straight into a quick learning guide to Excel pivot tables. We're basing this on Aremu B. Lowell's step-by-step visual guide, and my absolute goal for us today is to take you from feeling completely overwhelmed by your data to feeling, well, totally empowered by it. So let's jump right in. First things first, be honest. Are you currently drowning in raw data? I mean, if you've ever opened up a spreadsheet and just felt an immediate spike of anxiety at the sight of endless, chaotic rows of information, I want to validate that struggle right now. It is incredibly difficult to extract any meaningful, quick insights from thousands of lines of raw text and numbers. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. But hey, that is exactly the problem we're going to fix today.
So, the absolutely crucial starting point is understanding what a pivot table actually is. I like to think of it like magic clay. It's essentially a powerful technique that turns data overload into organized, actual knowledge. The best way to visualize it is that a pivot table lets you take a massive, rigid block of raw data and just mold it, smash it, and reshape it from a bunch of different angles until you find the exact summary you need. And the absolute best part? It does all of this without ever destroying or altering your original raw source data. It's totally risk-free.
All right, moving right along to sections 1 and 2, what is it, and prepping your raw data. Let's look at the actual foundation we need before we start pivoting.
Now, think about a classic raw data set. It's intimidating, right? You're staring at this endless wall of order IDs, products, unit prices, quantities, just a massive grid. The actual knowledge we need, like, say, which product is bringing in the most revenue, is entirely hidden inside that grid. To actually extract that knowledge, we have to prep the table so Excel knows exactly what it's looking at. And listen, these prep steps, they aren't just polite suggestions. They are absolute non-negotiable rules. First, every single column must have a title, and it has to be in a single row. Next, within each column, the data types have to match perfectly. You literally can't mix text and numbers randomly or Excel gets confused. Also, absolutely no merged cells. None. And finally, no empty rows or columns. If you leave an empty column in there, Excel will actually treat your data as two completely different tables. Basically, skipping these prep steps will totally ruin the magic. Okay, section 3, creating your first table. We've got our prep data, so now it's time to take action and build this thing.
Before we jump into the interface itself, I want to give you a really clear mental roadmap. Creating a table comes down to an incredibly simple 3-step journey. Step 1, you select your data source and tell Excel where you want the new table to live. Step 2, you literally just drag and drop the fields you want to look at. And step 3, you use Excel's built-in tools for any extra calculations and formatting. That's it. Just keep those 3 steps in the back of your mind.
Now, before we start dragging and dropping, you really need to understand the canvas you're working on. A pivot table has 4 main areas. Think of rows and columns as your structural pivots. This is simply how you want to categorize your data. The values area, that's where the actual math happens, like your sums, your counts, your averages. And the filters area is exactly what it sounds like. It's for narrowing down your view to specific segments. Grasping these buckets is exactly how you decide where to drop your data based on what questions you're trying to answer. Let's see step 1 in action. When you go up to the Insert tab on your ribbon and click Pivot Table, you're going to get a little dialog box. This is where you define your table or range, so you just select all that perfectly prepped raw data we talked about earlier. Then you simply tell Excel whether to plop this new report onto a new worksheet or an existing one. Super simple. Once you hit OK, you are presented with a brand new screen. And this right here is your digital clay, just waiting to be molded. On the left side, you've got an empty table canvas. Over on the right, you have your pivot table fields list. And if you look closely, you'll see those are exactly the column titles from your raw data. Then, down at the bottom right, you'll spot those 4 distinct bucket areas we just talked about: filters, columns, rows, and values. All right, here is the real climax of the creation process. Watch this. By simply clicking and dragging your region field down into the rows section, and then dragging your total field into the values section, Excel does all the heavy lifting. Instantly, thousands of rows of raw data are smashed together to generate a perfectly summarized regional sales report. It is literally that fast. 1 second, it's chaos. The next, it's clarity. Moving into section 4, drilling down for details. We have our high-level summarized numbers, which is great, but now we need to do some detective work to uncover the why behind those numbers. Picture this. You're looking at your news summary, and you notice the central region's first quarter results are just massive compared to everywhere else. And you naturally wonder, why? Well, all you have to do is double-click or right-click and select Show Details right on that specific massive number. Excel will instantly generate a brand new temporary table showing every single raw transaction that made up that specific total. And boom, right there, you can see that a salesperson named Bob Taylor drove almost all of those numbers. Detective work solved in a single click.
Next up, Section 5, Visualizing with Pivot Charts. You've got the data sorted, you know how to drill down into the details, but what if you have to present this to your boss? Let's talk about elevating this from a simple grid of numbers into a highly visual, executive-level presentation.
It's amazing how seamlessly the action connects to the result here. By just tweaking our field selections to get the data exactly how we want it, say unchecking the overall total field so we're only looking at specific category sales, you then just click the pivot chart tool located right up in the Analyze ribbon. Excel instantly generates a visual graph that is linked directly to your table. If you change your table, your chart updates automatically in real time. It's a completely dynamic presentation with almost zero effort.
All right, Section 6, Advanced Filtering with Slicers. This right here is our final tier of mastery, where we transition from static, boring tables into dynamic, highly interactive dashboards.
Slicers essentially turn you into a full-blown financial analyst. Let's say you have a massive data set of airplane parts. Inserting a slicer for, let's say, the category field gives you these really clean, highly visual, clickable buttons hovering over your sheet. Want to know the total fuel sales for February 2017? You just click the fuel button on your slicer. The entire pivot table instantly filters the data to answer your complex question. You don't have to touch a single, complicated formula.
And hey, I want to quickly point out that advanced filtering isn't just about clicking categories or dates. You can also use what are called value filters. Imagine you have thousands of rows of those airplane parts, and you want to instantly extract just the top 10 selling items by quantity, or maybe the bottom 10 worst sellers. A quick drop-down selection right from your row labels will filter that huge list down to exactly what you need in mere seconds. It's incredibly powerful.
So, bringing it all together, the crucial takeaway here is that you now hold the magic wand. We've seen exactly how to prep raw data, build tables in 3 simple steps, drill down for the hidden details, build dynamic charts, and even use slicers to create dashboards. Which brings me to my final most important question for you. Which of your messiest, most intimidating spreadsheets are you going to open up and mold into an absolute masterpiece today? The knowledge is yours now. Go start pivoting.